John Carpenter's The Thing is regarded as one of the greatest horror movies of the 80s. Based on the novella Who Goes There and the remake of a 1951 film, The Thing from Another World, it managed to be both a faithful adaptation and a remake that respected the original and did something different. Despite being panned at the time by audience goers and critics, this film's turnaround happened a few years later and everybody loves it now. This movie never got a film sequel. The only movie that expands the story is the 2011 prequel film. I can kinda see what they were going for. Topping the ending of the 1982 film would be downright impossible, so why not try to expand the universe by going back? The prequel film was decent. It did its best to homage the Carpenter film and give us some backstory. Plus, it tried to make us give a shit about the guy who committed suicide and the two guys chasing the dog on a helicopter. Unfortunately, the prequel was also a box office bomb, and the idiot producers made the decision to put really bad CGI over the practical effects that homage the original. Also, several continuity issues such as the excavation of the UFO, among other things. They probably should have gotten some insight from Carpenter at the very least. As for sequels, there is no movie, but there were two official sequels to the film. First was Dark Horse's The Thing from Another World comics. I haven't read them on my own, but rather watched videos that review the comics, like Atop the Fourth Wall with the guy shitting on the comics for plot holes and contradictions and a weaker overall story. The comics came in 3 volumes, one set in Antarctica, one set in Argentina, and the third set in New Zealand. From what the guy from Atop the Fourth Wall read to us, the third volume is like it's written by a guy who had never seen the movie and was only given a brief description of the film. The first 2 volumes aren't horrible, they just don't do much. Then there's the video game. Released in 2002, this game serves as another sequel to the film, but has a different continuity to the comics. That's the thing. Pun totally intended. Each continuation of the Carpenter film essentially ignores everything else and does its own thing. There is no clear timeline or canon aside from the Carpenter film itself, but The Thing 2002 is set apart from the comics and the prequel for one main reason. John Carpenter himself endorsed this game during its release as the canon sequel to his film, meaning that if it came from the man himself, that word is lore. This is the canon hierarchy of the series based on the information I've gathered. Although I'm sure the 2011 movie is supposed to be canon, Carpenter never endorsed the prequel to my knowledge like he did the video game, so this forgotten sequel is overshadowed by the prequel film as an expansion of Carpenter's film, even though The Thing 2002 is more canon than the prequel is. Now let's start talking about the actual game. When I heard that there was a game that serves as a sequel to the movie, I thought to myself, how would you make a movie based off The Thing? Keep in mind, Among Us wasn't popular yet when I heard of this game, so I was interested to try it out. I went onto a dodgy website, downloaded the game, and started playing it. It wasn't the kind of idea I'd have for a video game, but it's not a bad thing. I mean, they subverted my expectations, so let's start this game. The main menu is nothing to look at. It's a single-player third-person shooter, so we start the campaign. I picked easy because I quickly realized on previous playthroughs that this game is pretty fucking hard. I'll explain it as we get into it. So our intro starts with a guy speaking in Norwegian, and then a thing attacking the Norwegian and another guy. This intro doesn't really do much for the story. Maybe to just set the tone, I don't know. So an unspecified time after the events of the 1982 film, the fictional Arctic Marines, led by Colonel R.C. Whitley, presumably get a distress call from both the Norwegian outpost and Outpost 31. And so the two teams are sent to investigate. There's Alpha Team, led by Captain Pierce, and Beta Team, led by Captain J.F. Blake, our protagonist. The first level doesn't have a single enemy, it's just pure fan service. We see all the nods to the 1982 film. I'm not sure if the layout of Outpost 31 is accurate or not. Maybe a hardcore fan of the movie can figure it out for me, but it's close enough. This tutorial level shows us our team and their purpose in the story. We've got the medic who can heal you and other team members without a med pack, but not himself for some reason. There's the engineer who can repair fuse boxes and they're essential to progressing the game. And then there's the soldiers, the best at combat and the bravest of all three. But forget about them, they barely show up in the game, so it's just a waste. Blake has traits of all three. He can repair some fuse boxes, he can heal people to a limited degree, and his skill in combat depends on the person playing this game. So this is a squad-based third-person shooter. Not bad, but you know what is? The navigation. Jesus fuck. The navigation. A lot of the time I can't figure out where to go, so I go running around the level trying to figure it out. I find a locked door to the infirmary, and so I need to find the key. So I go around having a look, going down below where we find the Blair Things UFO. Remember that? Wilford Brimley trying to build a spaceship out of helicopter parts to go to a more populated environment. So anyways, we find the damn key where the infirmary is. We get the engineer to turn the power back on, where we see an unidentified dead body. The game doesn't make it clear who it is. The only body that could be found is probably the body of Knowles, where in the comics he died in the explosion. But the corpse is that of a white guy, so it can't be him. Maybe Commander Gary? Who knows really? So anyways, on with the game. So the crew finds the frozen body of Childs, confirming that he wasn't assimilated by the Thing since this is the canon sequel. Fan theories are over, we have an answer. I suspect the reason that the theories still exist are because people don't know about this game, or look at things from a film-only analysis. But there's no MacReady in sight. So in the back of your mind, you keep wondering where he is. Nice anticipation, I guess. So Whitley orders Blake and his team to destroy the base with C4 charges. After that's done, Blake is sent alone for some reason to back up Alpha Team, who are sent to the Norwegian base. Oh boy, Blake doesn't know what he's in for. I will say that the build up to the Thing is actually quite intense. Still, it would be nice if they had the music from the movie, or at least some imitation of it. If they could license the movie, why not the music? Also, I have a gut feeling that they got the Norwegian outpost layout way off, more so than Outpost 31, but still, they should have gone onto the website Outpost 31 to double check everything. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, but it's nice to have attention to detail. Essentially, Blake meets up with Carter and Cruz, two members of Alpha Team. We see even more references to the Carpenter film, like the ice block and the Norwegian suicide victim, identified as Colin in the prequel. We need Carter, who is an engineer, to get past an electric field, blocking us from the rest of the outpost. It's also here where the game introduces us to the Spider Things, which is where they possibly got the idea for those mini things in the prequel, but who knows really. These things are the easiest enemy type. They die after a couple of bullets. Speaking of bullets, the gun in this game is weird. There's this nonsensical reload system where it reloads the next clip without reserving the remaining ammo if you have it. So if you have 45 out of 50 bullets in a clip when you reload, you might as well have 0 because the game disregards your remaining clip ammo. Meaning if you reload with a nearly full clip, you're just wasting it. It's better if you pour out all the ammo before reloading. But since every other shooter in existence doesn't have a stupid reload system like this, you're going to make the mistake of reloading a clip that still has ammo sooner or later, and quite often too, and just waste ammo. I don't know why they couldn't just do it like every other shooter in existence. It took me halfway through my second playthrough to realize why I kept running out of ammo so quickly. So with that explained, let's keep going. We get to the next area where it stops resembling what we saw in the Carpenter film or even the prequel. And by the way, being outdoors drains a blue bar where if it goes 0, it will drain all our health. basically the hypothermia system. This is really annoying, especially later in the game. And my god, the navigation is awful. Draw distance is limited, which it makes no sense. It's a winter snowstorm, but still I can't see where I'm going. So we get to Captain Pierce, who knows about the virus, and tells Blake to get a blood test kit. So we fight more enemies, get 3 blood test kits, and we go back to Pierce and we do the damn test. We're clean, but fuck! Carter and Cruz are infected. Now it's here that I should probably mention the Thing's change in rules. In the movie, they state that the Thing rips through your clothes during assimilation, but for a video game, it's excusable that they don't follow that rule. I do think they should have said something about this retcon though. Maybe something like how the Thing figured out how to assimilate someone without ripping through clothes or something. I mean, in the 2005 cancelled miniseries Return of the Thing, the creature figures out a way around the blood test, so it's not infeasible to think that it could do the same with the clothes. You know the theory that the Thing in the prequel acted stupid at times because it was new to Earth and was still adapting to humanity? Well, in the same sense, I'd say that the Thing figures out ways around obstacles. For example, what I just said. It figures out how to assimilate people without ripping through clothes, because the Thing learns more about humanity as the infection goes on, and it learns more about the human anatomy. But that's just an assumption, and I can excuse this for the fact that this is a video game. It's gameplay convenience and it doesn't harm anything, since it's easy to buy that maybe the Thing figured out a way around damaging clothing. So Blake and Pierce torch the 2 infected and go to a station adjacent to the original Norwegian outpost. Now by this point, it's clear that the writers for this game had a far different idea of what happens at the Norwegian outpost than the prequel filmmakers did. Because in the prequel, there was no station adjacent to the Norwegian outpost. It was just a lone station. And the original Carpenter film also made no reference to another Norwegian station. But ignoring that, for some reason Blake loses Pierce during the walk to the adjacent station, but decides to go on without him. Some guy throws grenades at Blake. Blake dodges the grenades. Blake calls out his name, Pace, presumably a part of Pierce's team. Pace explains that he was chasing a monster with another guy called Williams, and he references a Norwegian guy. So we go around fighting spider things. Not too challenging until we come across Williams, who will only join us if we kill 3 Thing walkers. What's a walker? It's that thing. In spirit with the movie, we need to do 2 things to kill it. First, we need to drain its health till it turns red, and then we use a blowtorch or incinerator to finish it off. But I have an issue with this. The flamethrower range is too short, so when I keep on trying to keep my distance from the walkers, the flames don't hit it, even when I feel like I should be close enough, and believe me, touching the flames will result in health loss. You'll want to be in range, but since the range is so short, you're basically in harm's way. What a paradox. Since the objective is to kill 3 of them, you need to be careful. I spent a while trying to kill them, but I finally got it done and Williams agrees to join us. We fix a fuse box in a radio room or something, kill another walker, and proceed to the next level. The next level is basically a holdout level. Basically a defend this position objective many other games pull. I usually hate these kind of objectives, but it's actually not too bad here. It gives you plenty of ammo to defend yourself, plus having 2 guys backing you up is always a plus. And as soon as I could proceed to the next level when the walkers burst through the door, I took that opportunity and ran without a care in the world. Oh, so the Norwegian from the intro is running away. Come the next mission, my team is heavily damaged and needs a health pack to revitalize them. Since I didn't have any, and I realized that one of them is a thing on a repeated try, I gave them both a mercy killing, collected their shit, and went to finish the fight without them. Damn shame. So first we need to go into this building to get a key, and then there's fire barrels everywhere on the ground floor, so I sparked the explosion before jumping down. Then I went into the building called the weather station. After fighting some walkers and spider things, I get to the top where Blake reunites with Pierce. Pierce reveals he's been infected, so he commits suicide. So now it's on to the warehouse. I find a way in. As the Norwegian guy went in there, we don't find the guy right away, but you know who we do find? A completely unrelated guy called Collins. He's an engineer, so we need him alive. If a necessary engineer dies before he's outlived his usefulness, then it's game over. And this game is just fucking hard. There's enemies everywhere. Just look at all this shit attacking me. My strategy was to not bring Collins with me. Clear the enemies out first, and then get him to repair everything. But we don't even get 20 minutes of conventional game time to get attached to the guys, as infection is scripted and there's no way to prevent it. So with us saying our goodbyes to Collins with a flamethrower, we go and meet with a Norwegian intro guy, who is a thing, who knew. Expect either all your teammates to die or be infected. There's really only 2 named survivors at the end. So we've got our first boss battle, but fuck 'em. Just make sure you have full health, go to the fuse box and repair it, and then open the door, go to the hatch, and you've completed the level. Now we're in a submersible that the layout reminds me of the underwater station in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic on Manaan, but the difference being that it's aliens that assumed the role of Wilford Brimley and tried to build a spaceship, not a large fish and insane fish people. So basically we have to get some doors open, and health packs are scarce, so be sure to use them sparingly and save often once you get to a new area of a level, because it's one of those save and repeat kind of games. Yeah, you know, the ones where you keep on reloading to a previous save because you keep fucking up. Yeah, so we meet up with 2 guys that agree to help us. And then we get to a guy called Dr. Faraday, whose name is referenced in terminals and stuff like that. So basically, the way to Dr. Faraday is blocked by doors that need to be opened in a specific pattern to get to him. It's like the electric maze at the Enclave base in Fallout 2. I hate it. I randomly switch open doors, go to the area, and oh whoops, looks like I need to open another door. I had to backtrack like 3 times, and since there's no sprint, this is just tedious. So I get to Dr. Faraday, voiced by John Carpenter of all people. Nice cameo. So with the 2 other guys, we get the fuck out of there. Protecting Faraday isn't too hard, especially with the 2 other guys. We go back the way we came, and then we've got a cutscene. Basically, we finally see Blake's boss, Whitley. Basically, Whitley forces Blake to drop his weapon under threat of death from his Black Ops unit. Basically, it's here that Whitley is revealed to be one of the bad guys, as he has basically let the virus loose instead of trying to contain it. He shoots Blake with a tranquilizer, and he escorts the doctor and Blake to a facility on the other side of the continent. We get a cutscene of Whitley saying the virus can be controlled to Faraday, and puts himself forward as a test subject for the B4 virus, which will be used for biological warfare. This plot point is never really fleshed out. It's just evil bad guy motive, when I think they should really explain Whitley's plan. And Whitley kills Faraday when he refuses. So we wake up an unspecified time later. We've lost all of our equipment, and of course, there's no easy way of getting it back without putting yourself in harm's way. Since for a big portion of this level, you cannot use a weapon to defend yourself, you have to run away from enemies. This is tedious. At least give us a fucking pistol or taser or something. Anything. Just give me some sort of weapon. Since the thing cannot open doors, you can close the doors on the thing to trap it out of harm's way. That's really all you can do. So after dying a couple of times, I finally got some equipment, some teammates, and fuck! A switch lock. The only way you'll figure out what the combination is through trial and error. If you fuck up, you've got Whitley's Black Ops unit coming your way. So I get the combination right after over 5 attempts, and we recruit a soldier for pretty much the only time we can ever get it, which is stupid. We get to an elevator, and since we get a new cast of enemies, Whitley's Black Ops units, it gives us more variety. And it's actually nice for once that we're fighting against conventional enemies you see in a Call of Duty game. This level is basically killing enemies with your squad. It's here where the game shines, although I got a little stuck. I couldn't figure out how to let my team into the next area, and I briefly thought that I would have to complete the fight without them. But I figured out what to do 15 minutes later. Next level, we essentially have to do the same thing. Fight the same types of enemies, and then we've got a second boss battle. Probably the hardest one in the game. Basically, to proceed, you have to kill this large thing, and I found it near impossible to dodge its attacks. You can also stun it by electrocuting it, but I mostly ignored that. I just threw a fire grenade from a safe distance, and after a bunch of tries, it died. Yeah, fuck you too! Also, you have to defeat it all on your own. Your allies stay behind in the other room for some reason. Guess they didn't feel like it. So we finally get to open a door, and oh shit, it's a ticking time bomb. So I run the fuck away. And look at how this NPC gets blown up by the explosion, and the second guy makes it into the elevator barely. But even with this, I'm lone wolf again. You gotta be fucking kidding. Why is it that I lose companions constantly? Whatever, so we get into a warehouse to get the C4 charges, where in the next level, we're supposed to put the charges on the planes that want to leave the virus. You have to put charges on each of the 4 planes, and then go onto a high tower and shoot all of them with a sniper rifle. And whoops! On the way up, I accidentally dropped a grenade and I had to get the fuck out of there. One of my teammates died, and the other turned hostile, so there goes my teammates. But I must go on. I proceed to use the sniper rifle. You have a short time to shoot all the other charges after you destroy the first plane. On my first playthrough, I had no sniper rifle ammo and had to rely on my trusty grenade launcher, which was harder to use since it's not much for accuracy. It's a grenade launcher. But this time, I wasn't going to make the same mistake twice and save the sniper rifle for when I would need it in this segment. Then Whitley's Black Ops are all over me, and the thing comes out of the spot where the next level is. So we fight our way to the next level. Now we're in some underground base. We have to actually use our flashlight to navigate. More enemies, and we get to some actual underground structure. And we come across a doctor. We give him a weapon, and he agrees to join us. Of course, getting to the lower levels is not easy. There's an automated turret intended for killing us, and we can't be too close or it shoots and we lose health. But Jesus fuck, the amount of health the automated turret has is like too much. Like 2 or 3 sniper shots should be enough to destroy it, but in actuality you'll have to unload a whole clip. Rinse and repeat a few turrets, and then we have to get rid of 2. I was really stuck with this for a bit, until I eventually was able to get at an angle behind a box and shoot it without it shooting back at me. But then there's like 8 to 10 turrets to kill after that. Do you think that's enough? So next level, 2 engineers are arguing because one of them sent the doctor teammate from earlier on his own. So they draw guns to each other, and the game gives you a choice of who to help. Well, since sending someone alone is a death trap, I'll side with the guy who showed concern. And hey, what do you know? The guy I decided to kill turned out to be a thing. Lucky guess. So the guy I decided to help, Stoles, joins us, and we go into a dark area, turn the power on, a thing attacks us, but we kill it. And then we've got this timing thing where we have to get Stoles to open the door by opening the same door from this area. After a couple of tries, Stoles gets in to keep the door open, but he presumably dies doing so. So we go in and we meet another engineer who gets us to look at a computer, but fuck! It's a trap from Colonel Whitley, and I died because I couldn't figure out what to do. So next try, I fix a fuse box and get control of a turret that we used to shoot the gas pipes before we die. The next section consists of getting doors open and fixing things with another engineer, and we get into another boss battle. But this one is easier. Simply turn around in circles and torch it when its bar goes red. With that, the creature is defeated and the door opens again, and now the underground base is going to haywire for some reason. We go back where we came, where the whole place is going to blow. So the next level is just the one before the last one backwards, except the place is blowing up. You can't actually dodge all of the explosion. You will get hit at least 10 times, so be sure to have at least 4 health packs and use them sparingly and tactically. You will not believe how many times I died trying to beat this level. The undodgeable explosions didn't help. When I got back to the underground cave, I just went straight for the elevator. And how sad is that? In the next level, I'm only 1 hit away from death, so I have to make the best and go hardcore. I have to shoot Whitley's men from a distance and fuck off. I don't get any health packs until quite a bit into the level. I have to kill like 30 to 40 guys without getting hit once. Maybe they should replenish your health in the next level after you beat the previous one. Keep in mind, I'm playing on easy. As soon as I got the health packs in a small cove, the game really became accomplishable again. Getting to Colonel Whitley in some dome building, Blake tries to torch Whitley but it doesn't work, and Whitley runs off. We've got more of the Black Ops shit. My strategy is to shoot out from cover when you need to. This is the time the game shines. Not too challenging, but also not too easy. I thought Blake would have realistically died around this time, but this is a video game, so I'll let it slide. Going out, I kill the last of Whitley's men, and I confront Whitley at the original Thing's UFO where it all started. The Thing overtakes Whitley and transforms into the largest thing in the franchise. Okay, maybe the very large thing from the Thing from Another World, Climate of Fear, was bigger, but who knows really. A chopper shows up with a guy who offers help, so Blake gets on the turret and the final boss is a turret section. Really? Well, this is probably the easiest of the bosses. Just shoot the tanks that are conveniently near the Whitley Thing for some reason, and then just keep shooting and the Whitley Thing will die. The ending? Well, this happens.
Excellent timing there, pilot. Early retirement from Gen Inc.?
No, not exactly. On my way back from an extended Arctic vacation.
Uh-huh. So what's your name, smartass?
McCready. R.J. McCready. U.S. Outpost North 31.
So after the final cutscene, the credits play with the 2001 song After Me by Saliva, a popular rock band from the early 2000s, I presume. I'll link the song down in the description in case you want to listen to it yourself because copyright. And that's the Thing video game. Not actually a bad game. It goes above the mediocre schlock licensed games are, and it's memorable enough to be nostalgic to those who played it back in the day. I'm sort of decisive on whether this was a quality product or not, since I really enjoyed myself at times and was frustrated at others. The ending makes no sense. As you saw, McCready shows up to help Blake. There is no explanation for how he survived or how he got a chopper even better than the original one he flew, since this one has a turret like it's the Falcon from Halo fucking Reach. Where did he get that? And another thing, if McCready survived the whole ordeal, then why not Childs? When I beat this game, I thought about what I just played and I thought to myself, why the fuck did they just piss Childs away? Why couldn't they both survive? Why did it have to be just McCready? The comics kept them both alive after the events of the movie, where, spoilers for the comics, but Childs eventually gets infected and attacks McCready in Climate of Fear. In the comics, I was hoping they'd become a buddy cop duo, where they stop the Thing wherever it goes. And also in this game. But no, the chances of a body cop duo are ruined because they decided to kill him off. And keep in mind, they also planned a sequel to this game. Keith David, the actor who played Childs, is highly proficient at voice acting. He played the Arbiter in Halo 2 like 2 years later. And from what I've seen, he'd be more than happy to be in a sequel or really anything. It's one of his most prominent live action roles. Moving on, other problems was its difficulty. It's way too hard on easy. It's brutal. Tweaking the game to make it more completable would be my suggestion. Maybe replenish health after every level or something to make it completable. Even by video game standards, I find it hard to believe Blake survived all this. He must be a seasoned veteran or something. Another problem is that Whitley is sort of a generic bad guy. We don't learn why he wants to infect the world exactly, because the most we get is biological warfare. Against whom? The Soviets? It is 1982 after all. The Cold War is still going on. I know this mostly about the Thing being under threat by aliens, but I think it would be interesting to tie this world in with the real one. I mean, I think the game deserves a remake, but I have a personal request if they ever do. Try and tie everything together instead of wiping the slate clean and only referencing the 1982 film. It's time to actually have a proper continuity and a clear timeline. It's not that the prequel, the comics, and the video game contradict each other, and as I said previously, there is very little consistency. I feel like there needs to be a remake to tie everything together, and if they can't do that, just make heavy references to all previous material. I have a remake of my own in my head, but since this video is long, I'll save it for another day. The Thing 2002 is possibly the best expansion of the Carpenter film. It is good enough to be a nostalgic memory for many, and it is similar in spirit to the film. But its unbalanced difficulty, underwhelming plot points, and confusing ending take it down a notch. I give this game a 7 out of 10. I wish game technology was more advanced because the original ideas the game makers had sounded impressive and ambitious. I'm Plagiarist Films, and until next time, what are stories but mystery boxes?